All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, welcome to another podcast Monday. All right, today we are very fortunate from the lovely state of California. All right, the Marietta office, we have Mr. Jeff Rose. Jeff, hit star six, and then we'll be able to hear you, my man. Cannot hear you yet. Not pound.
Okay.
It's the one on the bottom
Okay.
left. There
How
you
about
are.
that, Rick?
Perfect.
Great. Well, good morning, Rick, and thank you for having me on your podcast this morning. I appreciate that, and I hope that
My pleasure.
this will be a help to our other agents out there, and that would be a good thing.
Yes. And I think it'd be great for us to go through. Well, first up, tell me a little about yourself, how long you've been doing that, doing this thing, all that good stuff, please.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've been in the business since '99. My stepdad and I started working together back then, and we were selling HUD homes. And so I was working under my stepdad as a coach and mentor, and we did nothing but HUD homes for the first few years. That was back when they were all over and paying 5%. And so he had a system for getting bids accepted very easily. And we just did nothing but HUD homes for a while. So my first year having him as a coach and mentor, we sold 28 homes. So it was a phenomenal first year. And that kind of got us going. And we did that for a while as we started to transition into resales and other types as well.
All right, cool. Then you've been on your own, just doing it over there at the office. And tell them a little about your progression, maybe after that as well, please.
Sure. We worked for my stepdad and I went from a few different companies. We started with like Realty Executives. We were with them back in 2000 to maybe 2004, and then we went to Home Smart, and we were there for a while. My grandfather started Golden Realty, so I worked under him for about 10 years, and then I believe it was back in 99 or 2000 that we moved over to Berkshire Hathaway French Valley office, working with Joe McGowan over there, and so he's been wonderful, and so that's how we arrived there, and
Nice.
Now we're just working on growing our business.
Right. And I believe in that last year you were number one in that office, weren't you? Were you number one or number two, right?
Yes, sir. I was number one in the office and in the region,
That's right.
which was really a wonderful thing. And it was actually a goal that I had a few years back, and I was going through my desks a while back, and I saw that I had a goal written down there, and it was to be number one in the region. And I remember at the time, it seemed kind of ridiculous when I was writing out these goals, and I just thought, well, what the heck, this is my goal. I could make it whatever I want, and so I just had that written down, and it didn't come to fruition that year, but it did the year after. So it's been a wonderful thing. I'm blessed to work with such fantastic people over there, and I think that's a huge part of it. We've got a great broker. We've got great associates to work with. I recently hired an assistant, Deanne. She's amazing, and having you as a coach and mentor has been huge, and I appreciate everything.
No, it's great. And it's a pleasure working with you, too. And I think it's important for them to hear, since you've been doing this for a while and you're number one, tell them a little about, you don't have to give specific names, but tell them a little bit how you were taking referrals, and then we eventually stopped doing that, and you started working with more being proactive, and take them to, because I think it's important for them to hear that.
Okay. Well, I would say for the first 20 years, I was primarily a buyer's agent. I worked primarily with buyers. I had the occasional listing, and that was kind of how it worked for quite a long time. And so I was also working with a major veteran company, Veterans United, actually, with referrals, buyer referrals, and that was great, although it was just basically, buyers that I was working with and very few listings. And so when I got to Berkshire Hathaway in, I think it was 99 or 2000, Joe sat down with me and we talked about it and realized that I would be better off making a shift from the buyer's agent to the listing agent. And that was the best thing, I think, and you helped with that as well. And that was the best thing that we could have done for our business. And we were probably 75% buyer's agent, 25% listing. And we were able to make the transition to be more like 75% listing and 25% buyers. And so that was a game changer for our business. And I'm grateful that I had you and Joe actually to kind of help straighten me out with that, because I was thinking that, the way we were doing it for so many years was going to be just fine. But really, with all the changes that we've seen as well, it's definitely better to be the listing agent. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you gave yourself some time back. You also gave yourself a raise because you're not paying hefty referral fees. When you're the listing agent, you're more like the employer versus the employee. So you took control, and you did it in. See, I think it's important for everybody to hear. You did it in stages. The first thing you did was So tell them a little about that, please, because I think that's.
Sure, we did it in stages. That's what I think helped, and with the right guidance, you could do these things in increments, because otherwise it could be just too overwhelming. And so we just kind of slowly made the transition, and I started focusing more on the listing side of things and making that transition away from the referrals that we were receiving from Veterans United. And I was running around like a maniac, I'll tell you that. I mean, there were times where I had 15 homes in escrow, taking care of those myself. I really didn't have a lot of help. And so it was really crazy. I didn't have a very balanced life at all with that. And I kind of felt like I was just like an Uber driver taking these buyers around.
Very well paid, but an Uber driver.
Oh, yeah, a very well paid one, but it was pretty crazy. So making the transition to the listing side, you can juggle a lot more listings, I think, than you can buyers. Especially now that we have all sorts of disclosures and different things that have changed in our business. So you're definitely better off on the listing side of things. And yes, you could juggle a lot more listings and still have a more balanced life and have your time back.
Right.
So I think that's important too, because you don't want to burn out either.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing about it is that it allowed you, all those years working all those people, it really allowed you to develop, build a gigantic sphere of influence, which once you made the decision to stop taking so many referrals, it allowed you to start working that more and really taking advantage of that.
That's exactly right. With so many buyer referrals that we had and so many buyers in our sphere, we were able to basically be the listing agent on almost all of those transactions. It seemed like for almost all those clients, it was great because it wasn't, I stayed in that place a long time as far as working with the buyers, but it did end up serving us well when we transitioned to the listing side. And, those buyers that purchased 5 years prior came back to us. However, we had to make an effort to stay in touch with them. And that's a whole nother thing too. As far as your sphere goes, I always look at it like, if they're not past clients, they're forever clients. And I don't want to be a past agent. I want to be a forever agent.
Right. I love that.
So
that's it.
So that's the way I look. That's the way we look at it. And I try to stay in really close contact with my clients on obviously, there's some that I haven't talked to for a while, and I'm trying to reach out to everybody twice a year, at least with a phone call. They also get magazines from us. We do the American Lifestyle magazines quarterly. We have everyone on neighborhood reports. We have holiday campaigns, and those are all great, but really there's no substitute for picking up the phone and reaching out to your clients, letting them know that you're there for them, and if they need anything. I mean, I had a client the other day call me. They said that they had an automatic feeder for the cats in the backyard, and they were on vacation. And they wanted to know if I could go over and check and make sure the cats are getting fed. They had a bunch of barn cats that, that came into their yard every day, and they would feed them. So I went over there and checked it out and gave them a report that, it was unplugged or whatever, fixed it. So, it's like after the sale, I feel like after the sale, that's your chance to prove your value, because a lot of times they don't expect you to do a lot. Once you've already gotten paid off the deal, a lot of agents kind of fall by the wayside. So I try to make sure that after the sale, we give the most exceptional service we can, and we're there for them. And so, and going back to the staying in touch with them, I love going out to breakfast with my clients. I go out to lunch and dinner. I go places with them. I've been on vacation with them. I mean, they become your friends, and that's the way it should be. And you have to really care about your clients. I don't feel like you could pretend. I mean, you could try, but I think they're going to see right through that. So if you really care, they're going to see that and appreciate that. And if you provide great service after the sale, that will separate you from the majority of the agents out there, I think.
So, amen, my man. And, it's such a pleasure working with you, because even when you got into coaching, you're like, I'm doing a lot of business, but I know I could be doing it more efficient, more effective, higher customer service. So it's great when, people like yourself, even though you're already highly productive, you want to make it better and streamlined. And think about everything that you've done with Joe and working with me. I mean, you've totally redone the way you do it. You still spend a lot of time and you're very disciplined, but now you're using the digital part. You're also calling and talking to them more. And you've also developed a social media presence. And I get to feel how your customers care about you and you care about them, and how that relationship is tight based on your social media presence too. So that's also working really well for you.
Thank you. And we're working on that. I mean, there's so many things coming at us lately as far as technology goes, and we have AI, and everyone's using Chat GTP and all that, and that's wonderful. But you still have to remember that it's about, like my friend Joanne Gaunt. I call her the senior specialist. She's like in her early 80s. Yeah, my sister. I call her my sister. She's in her early 80s, and she's a senior. She's like a senior rock star. She's wonderful. But she always says it's about people, not paper. Right.
She's such a breath of fresh air, right? Every time I see her, I'm like, I can't wait to hug her.
Oh, she's wonderful. We go out to lunch a lot, and I just think she's awesome. But she's always saying it's about people and not paper. She doesn't hardly do anything related to the internet. If you send her an email, she might need someone to help her open it, but she is so good at staying in touch with her clients. She goes to these luncheons and mixers and different events, and everybody just loves her.
She owns her neighborhood.
She owns it. Yes, she does. And
she does.
That's a wonderful thing. So I think that we're going back to your technology and the social media presence, et cetera. That's all wonderful, but you just have to still remember that that's not going to substitute picking up the phone and calling your clients, calling your sphere. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not always easy. There's going to be certain clients that it's going to be a little tough to do it, but you have to just make yourself. And really, the thing is, you're there to help them. So, it's more a matter of. Like my assistant, Deanne, she has something on her email signature. It says, "How can I help?" Like, it's just, that's kind of the angle that I like to look at it. Like, how can I help? And if they need help a year after the sale with the homeowner's insurance, or they need something, you need to really step up and prove your value then, because they will be impressed if you can provide a really high level of service. So yeah, that's just one of the things I think is super important. But while we're growing with the technology, we're just not going to lose touch with the fact that you just have to have a personal relationship with your clients. And it's kind of just it's kind of an old school thing, right? Like, picking up the phone and talking to them. Yeah.
I think it's part of the golden rule, which really the golden rule is just an easy way to say fiduciary relationship. It really is, if you think about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think if you make that like the foundation, then it puts everything else in perspective. And so the fact that I have an assistant now is allowing me to pass off a lot of these things that I used to spend time doing, like putting a lockbox on a home, or just, running over to a home to take a few pictures, or to check something out, or to meet the photographer. It's nice if you can pass those duties off so that you can spend the time you need to have a quality conversation with your clients. Sometimes you'll talk to them for, half hour, an hour. And, you just, I think that being able to delegate, and with all of our technology, will hopefully allow us to just be there for our clients even better, right?
I do. I agree. Well, awesome, my man. Well, my favorite part is when I ask you this question, which is, okay, so I'm an agent who wants to take my business to the next level, or even a newer agent coming out of the gates hot. What are the three most important things? And you can repeat things you've already said too. What are the three most important things you would tell them to focus on?
Okay. I would say I have more than three, but I'll tell you I think the most important ones would be, I think, first of all, you want to have an attitude of gratitude. Like, you really got to be grateful that you have people to work with, that you can help your clients. But you have to have an attitude of gratitude. You want to stay humble. And I think that you have to have a coach or a mentor. I think that's paramount. Have to have a coach or a mentor. You also have to realize that change is part of our business, and you have to get used to it.
Right.
Nothing stays the same in our business for long. And it used to stress me out, because I get used to one way of operating, and then I felt like I was throwing a curveball, and people would be freaking out about different things that were going on in the industry, or, with the economy. And so I think that the sooner you realize that change is part of our business, you just get used to it. You won't be shocked or stressed by it. And then the third thing I would say would be have a goal to be your client's forever agent. And that means providing exceptional service after the sale as well. So I would say those things, like have a coach and mentor, realize that change is part of our business, and be your client's forever agent. And so those are probably the three things. I mean, there's other things that go with that. Yeah.
And the bonus one was, and have an attitude of gratitude, which I think is critical to start your day like that too. So I love it.
Yes. My, let's see, my friend Hilda I think she's out of the Vegas office. I love her Facebook posts every morning. And if you're listening, Hilda
Rodriguez,
hello and good morning. She has like a picture of a cup of coffee and a nice gratitude type posting. And I think that's fantastic. So I think you got to start out that way. And we really do have so much to be grateful for. So I think that's important. So I hope that this is a help to our agents out there, because, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. And you have to keep swimming, though, right? I mean, I know it's like from, a kid's movie, but it's true. You have to keep swimming, and you just have to you keep showing up and, be there for your clients. So I think that's pretty much it. And I hope that it's a help to some of our agents out there.
That's it in a nutshell. Yeah. And, and I think the other thing is, Jeff, is also no matter how you have been doing it, because you were, like you said, you were a highly paid Uber driver, running people around, paying hefty referral fees, which is great. Don't get me wrong. It's a tremendous way to start. But then you realize, you know what? I could be doing this better and flip around my ratios from 75% buyers, 20%, 25% listings to 75% listings and 25% buyers. And not only does that give you more control, it also gives you a tremendous pay raise. So how you start is one thing, but you can also get into gear, make changes. Like you said, change is the only constant in this business, right?
That's exactly right. And going back to that, that's where having a coach or mentor will help straighten you out, because if I didn't have you and Joe to take a look at my business and what I was doing, then I could very well have kept going that way or not have been able to transition as smoothly. So that's where you need a coach or a mentor to kind of keep you straightened out, because it's very easy to get off track and think that you're doing things the right way, to accomplish your goals. But you really do want to have a coach or mentor that has been around. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about you, Rick, is that you were actually in the trenches. So you were selling homes, and if I remember correctly, you were selling 100 homes a year at one point. Was that about right?
Yeah, my team was around 150 a year. Yeah. Yep.
Wow, that's outstanding. And so when you have when you have coaches and mentors like that, that's fantastic, because they know exactly what you're dealing with, where you are in your business. Everyone's at a different place, and not everyone is ready for every type of growth. It's everyone's at a different place, and so that's why having a coach or a mentor is helpful. They can analyze things and say, this is what I think you need to start doing, and this is, and then you're accountable too. So it helps when, I know that I have a call with you or an appointment with Joe that, that there's going to be some accountability talked about there, and that helps to keep you on track too, right?
Accountability is critical. And I remember, so the exact example of you converting, you called it a highly paid Uber driver, right? So that was the frustration moment for you, right? Right. And we all need frustration moments, right? You gotta have a breakdown for a breakthrough. This is how I phrased mine back. This is probably like 91, 92. Mine was, I am no longer going to be a hostage to this business. That's how I felt, which is the same thing, but different, right?
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you, there was a hard truth that I had to listen to when I got to Berkshire and I met with Joe. And he said something about, I was like the tail wagging the dog. Okay. It was I was so reactionary, and it was so crazy the way that my business was. I mean, we had a lot of business that was fantastic, but it was just, it was exhausting, and it was not with real growth in mind. It was just, I was like the tail wagging the dog. And so sometimes you need to hear these hard things from a coach or a mentor to really get you to think about what you're doing. And, ultimately I'm extremely grateful that I have people around me that care and that will help. And so, it's been amazing. And I appreciate you and you so much. And
appreciate you too.
How long have we been doing the coaching? Are we going on 3 years now or 2 years?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's over 3 years now. I think it's 3.5 years. Yeah.
Man, the time goes by quick, but it's been awesome. And so,
that's why I've witnessed a lot of and Joe's done a tremendous job with you when you came over too. So let's give Joe McGowan's a lot of credit too. And I'm glad you have, because Joe. Oh yeah. Since you and I have been working together, you've stopped paying heavy referral fees. You've gone from, I think when I started with you, you were about 50-50 at that point, buyers and sellers. So, and now, and not only that, Jeff, you've actually knocked on a few expireds, made a few phone calls in the area you want to work, got some business. So not only did you changed the way you were doing it. You got out of your comfort zone big time, and now you're in way more control. And then you took the next step. You got that full-time assistant now, and she's taking away stuff from you so you can be even more productive in that high billable hour activity. So you're doing all the right stuff, and you are one of the most coachable people I've ever met. So that's why I think, and it all starts from that attitude of gratitude that you say. I think that's critical.
Yeah, I think it is critical. I think it really puts everything else in perspective. I always feel like we have so much to be grateful for. You know, if you were able to wake up this morning and have a cup of coffee and, you know, enjoy the morning. I mean, you're already starting off winning, right? I mean, you know, you got the gift of mobility too. And so, yeah, it's wonderful. Right. And when you work with fantastic people, like I just feel like I'm surrounded by such good people. That's huge. And so, and now, you know, because I do have the assistant, now we're working on the systems. Joe has been working with me on getting a system in place and a standard operating procedure, like a manual. And it's causing us to go through and look at everything that we're doing and what I need to do personally and what I can hand off to Deanne. And she's just amazing. We work so well together. It's really fantastic. So, you know, but that's when you get to that point. That's a ways down the road for an agent. So, you know,
it takes a while.
It takes a little bit.
It takes a while, my man. Well, I just want to say, Jeff, thank you very much for taking your time out. I really appreciate you. It's been completely honest. And like you said, there's some huge nuggets in there, and agents will definitely be able to benefit from that. So thank you for taking your time out today, my man. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate you, Rick, and have a fantastic day and rest of the week.
You too, my man. Thank you. And bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. Bye now.